Welcome to Club Vanta, where we discuss movies, TV, and more while being Vanta Black about everything.
In true fashion of the thing, I am Lakeisha Hayes from the House Hayes. In this kingdom, what house are you from, ma'am?
I'm Tweety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
House Mason Worth.
I've heard of you guys. I've heard of you guys. The alcoholics.
Been around for a minute. A minute.
You can go ahead and get started with what we'll be discussing with our first thing on the list. Because a lot of things went down season one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you said, season three is coming out. Part one's May 16th. Part two's in June. So we're gonna get a little taste in May. And in June, I think that's really when they're gonna feed us for real. I think that's really when we're finna eat. But season one, they came out already with some plates. Now, first off, them hoes they were hot. Okay. In real life, they had ice packs on into their clothes. So then I can't even imagine how it would be like genuinely back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
All those layers they
Mm.
had on. Like, just imagine the mustiness of the room. You're telling me I have to try to find a husband and I'm Max Musty?
I the opening scene, not the opening scene, but the first one of the first few scenes. So this is when everybody was coming to, Queen Charlotte's castle, presenting their daughters, right? And back at the Featherington house, they were sewing up a shorty corset. And she was like,
Hmm.
Mom, I can't breathe. And her mom was like, Baby, whatever. Like, just look it over. They got in front of Queen Charlotte and that girl passed out. When I tell you I hollered, because I knew that was gonna happen. It was Queen Charlotte with the ease up, she said, and then I knew Queen Charlotte's personality then because I'm like, why you act like that?
You're right.
Why would you do that?
And then why are you black? That's what I was like, why? And then we find out. You're like, okay, okay, okay. Welcome.
I was happy to see that. Initially
Hmm.
watching this, I'm like, okay, we got us a queen. Okay.
Right.
And I love how she really has a very strong personality, but it's like fit for that time. And what we get later, which is why we're gonna get into the Queen Charlotte story, which is my favorite. By the way, don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, Bridgerton is a good story, but the Queen Charlotte story,
It
that
hit something differently.
it hit something different.
Yeah.
There was so many different things about it. We talking mental health, we talking racism, classism, womanhood, titles. It got into so much.
Hmm.
And but we're gonna keep going, guys. We're gonna focus on season one, and we're gonna go back to that. So yes, they was hot in them hot dresses. Yes.
Absolutely. And I would like to expose myself right here, right now. I was a Bridgerton naysayer, hater even. Okay. You couldn't have gotten me to watch Bridgerton when it first came out. Everyone was talking about it, raving about it, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, because I don't do historical nonsense. I literally minored in history and I didn't want no, I didn't want any part of any type of historical show. I didn't want it. And then finally, I forgot who made me sit down and watch it. I think it was my mom. And so I watched it, ate it up, love it. Okay, watched all of them now, love it. But here's my first issue in terms of season one. So there was a lot of focus between the Duke and his father. However, I didn't like that. I felt like they were trying to force the Duke to have some imaginary connection with his mom. Because at the end of the day, I get it. That's your mom. You always love your mom. But homeboy, you never even knew her. So you were going off of stories, told to you by Lady Danbury, servants, because his dad obviously didn't have anything nice to say about his mom. So y'all are forcing this connection as if he knew her. Like if he had lived to like what if she had lived till he was like 3 or 4, I could have understood more.
Mm-hmm.
But ma'am died without even holding him. So why would y'all not focus on his mom, Sarah, and Lady Danbury's friendship? Because why was she in there in the first place when he was being born?
Yeah.
Like you could have just expounded on that, told a little backstory on that,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just being like, oh, Simon misses his mom. Does he? He misses the absence of a mom, but he didn't know her. And that's how I feel.
I get that. Um, it definitely could have been communicated a little bit different on the screen,
Hmm.
but I feel like what made up for it was him really his trauma from his treatment from his father, because his father was that man was egregious. He was so hell bent on a title, his legacy. What the show did was that lick back, that get back was sensational. That man was on his sick bed and Simon leaned in his ear was like, I ain't gonna never have kids. That man went into a straight up heart attack.
Eyes with
I said, mm, that's I said, no, that's teeth right there. But I
me.
feel like that's what they focused on. And for Simon to go through all of that, it really made his view of what a family's supposed to be very jaded. Because his whole MO when he first came in was he was just coming in, do his little title, do his thing, see you later during baby. He was like, I'm about to be out of here. And then that's where we're getting to the nitty gritty of the story. Because he is a good dude, but
Mhm.
he is a little toxic. But his upbringing influenced a lot of that toxicness. But he and his bad
Yeah.
Anthony, his best friend.
Anthony, 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 and those mutton chops on your face.
Uh,
If there was a villain in this first season, it was Anthony's facial hair
bye,
alone.
bye.
His barber, whoever was cutting his hair, whoever it was, to the brig, because you're a monster. Because Jonathan Bailey's handsome. He's a handsome man. And you actually made him look not cute. Like you actually low-key made him a little ugly in the first season. So I was like, well, with everything Anthony was doing, I guess he didn't deserve to be cute. Because if you try to marry me off to someone like that old man Burberry,
Bro.
yeah, you're ugly.
Like, first of all, let's go on a replay of how we even got to Burberry.
Hmm. My
So
bad, Burberry. Burberry.
first of all, Burberry, when I seen that right face and those beady eyes and the way he was staring down Daphne in that ballroom, I was like, sir, I know you don't think you got to check. And it's like, I first of all, let me compliment Daphne. She be standing
Mhm.
up business. She may look petite, may look like the baddest thing in the ball, but she gonna speak her mind.
This bitch right here. Diamond. First water, all the diamond.
Listen, I guess I didn't like how, like Anthony, I understand how, what I'm saying, you lost your father, you got pushed into this position, head of the household. I get it. That's a lot of pressure. But at the same time, that doesn't give you the right to play victim and villain at the same time. Okay. First off, we're gonna start with the opera singer that you were messing around with. Okay. You're the
Mhm.
one that went out to her. You know what I mean? You're also the one that went and got that apartment on the other side of town. House her up in it. Had her thinking she didn't have nothing to worry about. None of that. You did that. So as soon as your
Yeah.
mother remind you of your duties, you go back and you like, um, this our last time talking, you know what I'm saying, wrap it on up. And then you gonna turn around and try to go back to her after you literally took away her place to stay after promising her all of this riffraff. And
Mhm.
and then after you did her dirty, Okay, after you did your girl dirty, you came back and tried to marry your sister off to that sniveled face. Ugh, I can't even say his name. And then he gonna try to take advantage of Daphne in that garden? Baby, when she two-pieced that ass, I said, I fucks with Daphne. Yeah. Cause it was the way Simon rolled up was like, I was coming to help, but I like the fact that you got it though. You
Mm-hmm.
got to quit. She said,
Oh, Sharkeisha. Oh my God. Sharkeisha.
no. She said, we're not doing that. But that was disgusting.
It was. First of all, Burbrook has a mouse mouth. So I don't even want to imagine others. He always looked deranged. He always looks like he was on something. No. You're telling me you were about to marry the diamond of the season off to him? Everybody else was terrible besides him. And why would you think you're an excellent judge of character? Because you yourself don't got good character. Because yeah, you played in that girl's face, the opera girl face, her name's Sienna. You
Mhm.
played in her face, okay? Promised her all this stuff, and then kept wanting to be sad. I don't get how you break up with me. Break my heart. Mind you, in the first scene that you not maybe not the first scene, maybe the second scene that you see Sienna.
Clocking.
They had just did the whoop-de-woo. He came to her rehearsal. They did the whoop-de-woo, and he started talking about like not every woman is a lady. So you call me a whore. Okay, that's what you did. Okay. You got your whoop-de-woo, then you called me a name. And then the next meeting, you break up with me. And then you are at my doorstep every other day, messing up my business. Now, I'm not saying Sienna is completely right because she immediately tried to go to get his best friend. If that's petty, if that's not petty, I don't know what petty is. Running back the minute I wasn't an option anymore, but still, I was always going to be a secret.
Yeah.
You came back with no new material. You came back trying to get me to read the same book. Baby, I read it cover to cover. I don't need to read it again.
She was literally just his getaway. And
Hmm.
it's like you got to be careful of what purpose you end up serving for other people.
Mm.
And I'm glad at the end she chose herself and gave him the boot because, like you said, she was always going to be in this loop of him just picking you up whenever he wanted to, you know, play pretend like he wasn't royalty.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm sure she probably had that thought when he first came to her. But this is where the playing on emotions and broken promises come in. And
Hmm.
she stood on business eventually and was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna get somebody else to take care of me where I actually benefit because I'm no longer gonna serve this purpose because we ill fated anyway. So why do we keep doing this little limbo? That's kind of
Yeah. Facts. Like, I mean, he got what he deserved at the end of the day for season one. Because he really like I feel like on multiple levels, they different adults in the situation was wrong. I know Daphne's adult, but I'm not even talking about her. I'm talking more about the mom and Anthony.
yeah,
Because if the mom would have checked Anthony from jump when the first guys came to call on Daphne at the house, the whole Burbrick thing would have never became an issue. Because why you would have never had to promise her off because she would have maybe even talking one of the other ones. You forced her into the arms of the Duke, then was mad that she was with the Duke, and then was like, you have to marry the Duke. So you got to pick a lane. You have to pick a lane. And he just did it messy. But yeah, once again, Violet should have stepped in way more for her household, for her daughter. She failed all of her children on different levels, if we want to be for real. I think
yeah,
she's a nice lady,
yeah.
but she's gotten way too complacent in the poor widow mindset and just stayed there. You really don't see any another level of her until you get into Queen Charlotte's story.
And I feel like her losing her husband really broke her to the point where she trauma dumped onto Anthony,
Hmm.
who's the oldest. You literally asking a child about his mother in the middle of birth about what they should do, I beg your finest pardon. What?
Right.
So it's like with Anthony, I get it, but now that he's grown, you know right from wrong. And yes, it's unfair that it fell on your shoulders, but you still in a position where you still got siblings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you're not poor. So things could be a lot worse. So
A lot.
just get your shit together. And then as for his mother, yes, we get it, your heart hurting, but you still gotta raise these kids. You know. It ain't like it ain't like your late husband left. It wasn't a situation like that. He just passed.
And you had a gaggle of children. You thought you were just gonna bow out real quick. Like have the last one be born and then be like, Anthony's job over there.
She's like, Anthony, go get your kids. Go get them.
Like how she did. I didn't like how she did at all. That's